Welcome to Grim Dark Gains Podcast, a bi-weekly podcast where we help you turn from a chaos cultist to a corn berserker.
Yeah.
Today we set out to answer how to get started with your health and fitness journey. But before we dive into today's topic, we will chat about our life, lifting, and hobby. Hey Eli, how are you doing?
Hello, Alex. I'm doing very good. That was very soothing, the way you talked. Very nice.
It's my podcast voice.
Uh-huh.
Gotta go a little lower for that.
But I'm doing very good. I'm doing very good. I think your hobby life is a bit more exciting than mine, though. However, with
Recently,
with
yeah,
the
at least
games.
recently.
hmm
Yeah, but yeah, welcome to the first episode.
Yeah, it's quite exciting.
Exciting times.
Quite exciting. Thanks for watching. For anyone who's watching, like and subscribe. As usual. But
For
yeah.
our podcast, there's not enough flexing going on, so we gotta.
Oh yeah. I'm wearing the wrong clothes. I can't
Yeah,
even.
I'm wearing a thick over too.
Tragic.
Um, all right, but yeah, I figured it's the first episode, we should introduce who we are.
hmm
So, who are you, Eli?
I'm Eli, also known as Deadlifts for the Dark Gods. I do Warhammer lore shorts on YouTube and long form occasionally. I'm on the Lore Crimes podcast, and of course, I do Instagram shenanigans and memes. Not quite as much as Alex, but I make my silly posts every once in a while. I do fitness coaching as well, and I'm just about finished an exercise science degree. And yeah, that's about it.
Very legit stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's funny because I actually came across your lore videos, your short form lore videos before we even met,
Wow, yeah.
right? And yeah, I was like, oh, they were really fun. And then I realized you have Instagram, and then we started chatting years ago now. That was
Yeah,
forever ago.
holy cow. I guess so. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, because first time we
Crazy.
met was probably 4 years ago, 3, 4 years ago.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I
Yeah,
guess so.
crazy, right?
I forget how long it's been. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, you weren't quite as muscular back then. You're
No,
like
not really.
built like a tank nowadays. I
Definitely
love
made
that.
progress, thankfully. I also do bodybuilding. I guess I didn't say that. I should say that.
Right?
I do it as a
Absolutely. Yeah,
hobby.
you did. You won your first show, right?
Yeah, as the only
Last
person in
year?
my weight class, but
You could have omitted that, but
uh, uh,
oh, well done regardless. You were well prepared.
thank you. Thank
You
you.
were quite lean. Very physique very pleasing to Slanesh.
Very, very hard. Very hard to do, but it was a good
That's
time.
right.
But who are
That's
you?
right.
Who are you, Mr. Alex?
Yeah. Yeah, so I go by fit_hammer on Instagram. And like Eli said, I do a lot of memes and kind of just interactive content. Primarily, the goal of my page is to promote Warhammer or fitness in the Warhammer community, and occasionally it promotes Warhammer in the fitness community. Like occasionally,
Nice.
I'll get a lot of
Mm.
positive messages. And occasionally I'll get somebody like, yeah, I go to the gym and your stuff was cool and funny, and now I like Warhammer. I started my first army. And I'm like,
Wow.
well,
Nice.
if your hobby wasn't expensive enough, now we
Yeah,
got you.
ruining
You
lives
have
one
gaming
person
money
at a
left.
time.
Yeah, other than that, I am a registered dietitian, certified and registered with the country and with the state. And I've been doing that for about 6 years now. And I also am a health and fitness coach, so I'm not
Mhm.
quite, it's different from a personal trainer, but adjacent. And I've been doing that for about 3.5 years now as well.
Oh, very nice. Very nice.
Yeah, good
Well,
stuff, man.
how about you? Why don't you tell us about your very exciting hobby escapades?
Sure, sure. It was a very good time. So recently, just this week, which does not feel that way. It feels like it was last week at least. But I traveled to Mini Wargaming Bunker, back in your homeland, actually, in
Eastern Canada.
Ontario, Canada. Yeah, yeah, very far. It's like saying, California for me. I'm from
Mhm.
Western Pennsylvania for listeners. But yes, I've traveled there. My good friend Ben Mudge invited me to come over. Every year, him and his friend do a whole week of Warhammer, right? So
Mhm.
basically, Ben is from Ireland. His friend Callum originally is from Ireland, but he lives in Canada. And they meet together. No, they see each other often, but they meet together for a week and they just game. It's all Warhammer. They do 40K. They do AOS. This year they did Old World because of me. They do Kill Team. They do Spearhead for AOS as well. So it's a good time. So this year he's like, "Hey Alex, we're doing this for a whole week. Do you want to come down and join us for a few days?" And I said yes.
Nice.
So got to finally meet Ben because we were online friends for a while, just because he does live an ocean away.
Hmm.
But we finally got to meet. We had chances in the past, but never made quite made enough sense financially and time wise. But this time it was a 5.5 hour trip, and it's not a very expensive trip either.
Nice.
Surprisingly, if you're ever considering going to Mini Wargaming Bunker, it is more affordable than most other hotel rooms.
I didn't even know they had hotel rooms till you told me. That's crazy.
It's super cool gig. So yeah, if you're a hardcore nerd, it's really cool. You just have to let them know ahead of time, I believe. But you will get a hotel room in the bunker, which is a very small room, but it's enough. You're not staying there much anyway, and you get a key fob to get in the Mini Wargaming Bunker before way right. So does regardless of the hours they're open, you can go in there.
Yeah,
So we would literally be gaming till like 3 a.m. in the morning.
it is very cool.
It
24
is
hour
really, really
gamer
cool game.
access is crazy.
Absolutely, absolutely. I don't know if you got a chance to pull up any of the pictures yet,
Yeah, that's
but
what I'm doing right now. There's a
yeah,
nice workout picture right here with Mr. Dave.
yeah. So Dave joined us for a workout, and he was hanging out with us during different games, saying hi, had lunch with us, and yeah, we got 3 games in total. We played 2 games of Age of Sigmar. Both were Skaven. Oh, one was Skaven v Stormcast, and one was Skaven v Gloomspite Gids. It
Nice.
was very good, very fun games.
Did you win?
And I won kind of. We decided to call it a draw with Stormcast just because the game was we were ready to move on to the next game. We played about 4 turns. And then I got crushed with Gits, absolutely
Wow.
destroyed. Are you familiar with Age of Sigmar at all?
Vaguely, yeah. I've played a few games before.
Right. So and I can't remember the name now. Kragnos. So the big bull guy with
Oh,
crazy
he's scary.
horns, the huge model, right? He's a kind of a god of destruction. He has a really cool rule that allows you to charge 3d6 within a certain
Wow.
range, right? So I got everything positioned. I got my giant big monster, a cavalry unit, and himself positioned that all the units were only within 10 inches, right? So way below average charge,
Mhm.
right? And guess what? Failed all 3 charges,
Wow.
even with one reroll. It
Wow.
was embarrassing. It was awful. Now after that, I still had a chance, but no, it did not play as well as I could have, and the victory went to Skaven.
Oh, very nice.
And then lastly, I taught Ben and his friend Callum there a game of Old World,
Nice.
which is my favorite game at the moment.
Hmm.
I would say it's a good mix up of 8th edition and what I hear 6th edition of
Hmm.
fantasy. So it's really fun to play. I think it flows very well. It is definitely complicated if you've never played any kind of rank and file fantasy game. I think if you played 9th edition 40k and below, you would have some understanding because it's like strength against toughness and weapon skill and all that.
Hmm.
But it was a very fun game, and it was High Elves with their new book versus Greenskins, and I play only Goblin army. And yeah, so the rules for the goblins in Old World is they automatically have Fear Elves army wide.
Hmm.
So
Wow.
usually only like monsters or big scary things like undead will cause fear, but all goblins are always afraid of
Wow.
all high elves. So it was really funny because literally like he would destroy one unit and everything around would flee.
Jeez.
So yeah, it was a good time because poor
Oh,
leadership,
yeah.
worse in combat, and it was a really fun time though because it was definitely hilarious because my
Hmm.
whole army was afraid of.
Yeah, that's,
But
that's
yeah, it was a
very
good time.
flavorful. That's fun. I'm jealous.
It's
I wish
very
I wish
simple.
I could play Old World.
I
I
wish you were
have the
there.
high
If we ever do meet, we will. I will teach you a game of Old World.
very good. I have like 4,000 points of vampire counts and dark elves. So someday.
And vampires, they don't have the official book, right?
Mm.
But they do have the rules for them, and they're not
Hmm.
bad. They're actually one of the. And then Dark Elves. How many points of those do you have?
At least 2,000.
Yeah, Dark Elves. We have a player at the club that we play has a Dark Elf army, and he has the best army out of any of us
Wow.
right now.
Dang.
hmm
Dang.
So even without the official, all the updated cool rules, they're
Hmm.
actually pretty good.
And I just wish they had special characters. I love the dark elf characters and the vampire characters. I have Heinrich sitting on my desk up there right now. He's not painted.
Yeah,
It's very sad, I know. But I have Loki and Heinrich just sitting there, biding their
yeah.
time. I do have this old vampire lord model. He
Oh,
hasn't
heck
seen me in
yeah.
eons. The camera's not going to pick it
That's
up very
right.
well, but he's there.
Yeah, I remember the guy.
Yep. I, uh, I had fun playing 8th edition when it was, but I was a little kid, so I barely knew how to play, so I lost all the time, and I was definitely not using everything to its full potential, but I still had
For
fun.
sure.
And then they blew it up before I could get old enough to actually understand the game correctly.
Yeah,
But
that's
what are you gonna do?
unfortunate.
What are you gonna
Yeah.
do? I do have a Hedonites of Slanesh army, technically. They just never really see play.
Yeah, because you mostly play Lord of the Rings in 40K, right?
Yeah, yeah. Very
Yeah.
specifically, Lord of the Rings 40k. I guess I play a little bit of Magic the Gathering. I suppose I could say that now.
Okay.
I have my friends have
Had
got
to
me
get it out
back
there.
into it. Those dang guys. And me and my buddies also want to get into Bolt Action,
Oh,
which
okay.
is like World War II.
Yeah, are you 45? Is that why you're getting into bolt
Yeah,
action?
okay, all right. Nuh-uh. We played
Uh,
Axis and Allies recently, and it got me wanting to play
sure.
more World War tabletop stuff. But yeah,
Right, because Axis and Allies is like a crazy complex
it's a
game,
big
right?
game. It's a big game. We
Yeah.
played for 10 hours and we finished
Holy
early.
crap.
So yeah, but hey,
Um,
it was a Japanese victory in the Pacific. We didn't finish the game, but I'm claiming Japanese victory. Bonsai, 10,000 years.
so you mentioned you have a Middle Earth tournament coming up, correct?
Yes, I do. Which should be pretty exciting. I will. I'm not prepared, unfortunately. I usually practice for these like weeks and weeks in
Sure.
advance, and at least play once or twice a week to get ready for it. Because I'm actually pretty. I'm pretty into it when it comes to the competitive Middle Earth stuff. It's a lot more fun than Lord of the or sorry than Warhammer competitive stuff, 40k at least. But I will be bringing Sharku's Warg, like the Warg attack in Two Towers. It's stupid
Sure.
because like, there's not a whole lot of army options right now for me, at
Right.
least, because I play Easterlings, and I mainly just play Easterlings. I was also trying to get into Rangers, but then they kind of blew up that army until the next book comes out. So I am left with pretty much only Isengard and Fellowship as an option. And my friend has a lot of wargs, so I'm just gonna
Sure.
play Warg Attack because we tried it. It's very fun. It's a horde army, but every model is a cavalry. So
Nice.
you've only played like 1 or 2 games of Middle Earth,
I've
I
only played
suppose,
one.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But Sharku's like the list I'm bringing is like 50 or so models, and they're all Warg riders with a couple
Nice.
just regular
Holy crap.
wargs. Yeah, it's a
How many
big.
points is
It's a
that?
ton. It's 750 points, but I my friend played Lake Town and I outnumbered him, and Lake Town's a swarm army generally, so yeah, it should be. I think it's pretty good. They get a ton of bonuses against fighting cavalry,
Mhm.
so I'm just hoping someone will bring Rohan and I can obliterate them. But
Sure.
it should
50
be fun.
points for a
Mhm.
well, 50 models for a 750 point army is
Yeah,
pretty wild. How
it's
many characters?
like 3 or 4. It's Sharku and then some captains. Yeah,
That's crazy.
it's
Wow.
pretty legit. It's a pretty legit
Yeah.
list. I just as long as I don't come up against something that causes terror, then I'm good. And otherwise, things that are super tough are kind of scary, but like not
Hmm.
really,
Yeah.
because they're low in numbers generally. Shooting, I guess, is the biggest thing for me. And
Sure.
once the army breaks, they all run away because
Right, because
the
bravery is
captains are like courage 3.
courage.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
That makes sense.
courage 4, I guess. No, I think captains
Sure.
are courage. I don't know, but they only have one will, so one bad roll and they're just gone. So
Right. Right. Yeah, because even though I wasn't playing, I was playing around with points because I do have a bunch of Moria like literally sitting
mm,
right here.
Mori's cool.
Yeah, pull it up. Got my troll.
Very
So
nice, very nice.
classic troll. But yeah, I was playing around with points and like I think I have slightly more models, but my models are all like foot,
Yeah,
right? And I have
yeah.
slightly more models. But I do have some trolls, so I guess that evens out a little
Mm-hmm.
bit. Yeah.
Yep, and they
Hmm.
buffed monsters, which is nice because monsters had a hard time last edition. So, but yeah,
Are
I'm
they
just.
good? Addition?
I mean, they're better. I don't know if they're good, but they are better, definitely.
That's fun.
So yeah, I'm just biding my time for the next book to come out, so my the Empire of Rune can reclaim Middle Earth once again. The Easterlings can march to war. I'm waiting,
Very
waiting
good.
very patiently.
And I think everybody's waiting for that book because I have a friend who like we have a mini tournament with our friend group
Mhm.
set up to play Middle Earth, and I'm like, when is it happening? He's like, as soon as the book comes out. I'm like, just
Yep,
happen.
I know.
I want to play this
I
game.
know. I also have Khazad-dûm. That's another thing, and they have no rules right now either. So that's yeah.
Right, right. And I'm also interested to see what units actually stay in the game.
Yeah, yeah. It's true. I wish they would all stay in the game, but
Yeah, yeah.
such as
Me
Games
too.
Workshop.
It's just weird because they're not necessarily releasing a ton more.
Hmm.
So I don't know. Some armies feel very small now. Like it's literally feels like a three options,
Yeah,
right?
but at least my playgroups will allow the Legends stuff or Legacy,
Good.
whatever it's called, and it's like even in
Right,
the
right.
tournaments, I'm sure they'll allow it. So
Sure. It's
we
not
still
like
will have access as long as they don't suck. Then it's fine.
why do you enjoy the competitive scene of Middle Earth more than 40K?
Because it's very balanced, and like the people who play it are just very different from the people who play competitive 40k.
Right.
Like you don't
Right.
have to. I don't even know. I don't like it's smaller armies. It's a smaller investment. The game is balanced. You don't have to copy and paste some stupid list you found on Reddit and take
Sure.
all of these specific units and for
Sure.
this completely unflavorful list just because you want to win the game. There's no 6 Catan shard lists in Middle Earth, and if you do bring
Sure.
something like that, it's gonna have a hard time winning in a lot of certain missions. So
Okay.
yeah,
Hmm.
I mean the game is a little bit different now because the list building's changed, which is really unfortunate. But
Sure.
it's still the base game itself is good. I always felt that in Middle Earth you could bring a less than optimal list and play against a optimal list and still have a decent chance of winning if you're
That's
just really good
cool.
at the game. Whereas
That's cool.
40k, it doesn't really feel that way.
Yeah, no.
So
Hmm.
yeah.
That's cool. I'm excited to play more of it. That's what I've heard before.
Mhm.
And in general, I hear that the community is just much more chill because like
Yeah.
we're literally playing a game based on movies in a book, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah. There's no monthly FAQs and complete army changes all the time, and there's no like meta. Meta isn't a thing really, and there is, but it's so much smaller than
of course,
40k.
of
Like
course,
you're not seeing the same copy pasted lists everywhere you go, right? So and
right?
there's also like 50 factions, so there's so much variety, which is awesome.
Absolutely,
Mm.
absolutely. And it seems like the updates in general are less frequent.
Well, yeah, I
So
think the FAQs come out every once in a while, and they're not big. They're like rules changes. They don't change points and like
right,
actual stats or anything. They just change like wording and specify things.
sure,
So it's much less
clarify.
volatile.
Yeah, that's cool, man. I'm
Mm.
excited to play more. I'm excited to hear next time we chat how you do at the
Mm.
tourney.
Yeah, hopefully good with zero practice, basically. We'll see.
Yeah, it really depends. It might be how many games do you usually play at a tournament for
Just
Middle Earth?
three, just three. I wish we
Okay,
would do four, but four is really hard to fit into a day. Four is so much better than three though, because when you're doing 3 games, if you lose one, your odds of winning or even getting
sure,
top three have been reduced drastically.
sure,
Whereas if you lose one in a 4 game scenario, you have a much higher chance of still placing in the top three, right? So,
sure. So what you're saying is by game three, you will figure out how to play your army.
yeah, I guess so.
That's how it usually works for me.
I've had 2 practice games, and they were like a
Hey,
month
okay.
ago. They were like a month ago though, so yeah, it's I'll be rusty,
Um,
but it's okay.
you'll be all
It's
right.
really just for fun. Like you get way
Get
less
some reps
tilted.
in.
It's way less tilting to lose in Lord of the Rings than it is in Warhammer, personally.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. Yeah,
mhm.
I agree. AOS, I remember AOS for the first couple editions were really laid back, like super laid back,
Mm.
super fun. Lately, it's been a bit more competitive, but it's
Hmm.
it's still a good game.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Interesting.
sweet.
All right,
All right.
should we get on with it?
I think we shall. All right. So the topic for today is how to get started with your health and fitness journey.
Mhm.
Okay. So I say I'm sure we both have a lot of good opinions on this. So how about you introduce one thing, and we're talking about how to get started, right? So
Mhm.
the very much basics. So you introduce one thing, I'll give feedback if there's any feedback to be given, and
Mhm.
then I'll introduce mine, and we'll just go back and forth until we run out of ideas.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, honestly, we're probably going to say we're pretty much going to summarize the Nerd's Complete Guide to Fitness and Nutrition.
Exactly,
Plugging that right
exactly.
now, but that we have a guide
But,
on exactly this topic on how to go from day 1 to day 400, pretty much.
yeah.
So definitely check that out if you want. But anyways, we'll say our own ideas here as well, which are
Mhm.
also in the book. But yeah. Uh, but I think the biggest thing to start with is just doing something. Obviously, for most people, like we don't have to say like you have to do this step by step. Following a guide is a lot easier, but in
Right.
general, you just have to do something. Mini Wargaming Dave's big thing is just move, right? And
Absolutely.
he loves saying that all the time, and it is true though. Like for the vast majority of people, yeah, there it is.
Just
It's
move
awesome.
right here.
For the majority of people, especially people who are overweight, just moving more is a great start. You don't even have to go to the gym or do anything. Just start walking and doing more things to move around because that'll burn more calories and get your muscles working better and just get you started on something, right?
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean, there's nothing else to be said. Just do something. Get in the habit of moving.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so what would be some good examples of that besides walking?
Yeah, all right. Walking's just so easy to say, but like if you watch shows all the time during your ad break, get up and just do some jumping jacks or something like that, something very simple like that. Park farther away from the grocery store, so you have to walk farther to get to the grocery store. If you're within walking distance of a place that you go normally, try to walk there instead of drive. Um,
Simple as that.
yeah, just anything. Whenever you have a little break in the day, take 5 minutes, if even just like 1 minute. Do some body weight exercises if you can. Just jump around, do some push-ups, etc. If you can't do those, then even just I don't know, wave your arms around like literally any movement will affect your body. So
That's spot on, right? I mean, that's exactly how Dave, obviously there's other things as well, but that's a major part of how he lost, like, I think, like, what, 40, 60 pounds
yeah,
that
yeah.
he lost. And it was primarily fat. He would just walk a ton. He would just, stand watching TV. He
Mm-hmm.
would do push-ups and crunches and squats and all kind of things, just being more active in general. And also because you're doing being more active and doing things, you're probably spending less time snacking and eating
Mm-hmm.
junk food, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're totally right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's a great one to start with.
And we'll have to have Mini Wargaming Dave on this podcast one day, hopefully,
Oh, for
if
sure.
we
Oh,
can
for
get some good
sure.
traction. Yeah, I think so.
Oh, for sure.
Anyways,
No, I have a whole array. I'm sure you do as well of people in the Warhammer fitness world who I would love to have on the podcast.
mm-hmm. Speaking of other people, check out the Discord as well. We'll put that link in the description. We have like 300 people in there. It's a great community for fitness, and you can get unlimited amounts of free advice in that Discord. It's very
And
good.
there's some jack dudes there. There's some really jack dudes there who are, I mean, mass is not the only, source of value, but if you knew how to build a lot of muscle mass, you probably have something good to say.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's been a lot of good stuff in the Discord already.
All right.
Yeah. All right. So I guess the second thing I would say to add to that is your mental approach to the journey.
Mm-hmm,
Right, a lot of people have this approach, which is helpful later on, but of this specific goal they're trying to get to, right? And one of two things will happen. The goal was so unrealistic that you cannot get to it and you
mm-hmm,
give up a third of the way, half of the way there. Or the goal was too easy, and once you get to it, maybe it wasn't too easy, and maybe it was hard, but once you get to it, you're like, well, I got here. What do I do now? And you don't have a plan and you go ahead and relapse, quote unquote. In my experience, I've had many clients who would come to me and I would ask, about their journey in the past, and they have succeeded losing 50, 60. I even had a client who lost a bigger man, and they gained all of that back. Because
what did
once they
you?
got to that,
What was the number that you said you cut out in the Discord? The guy who
oh,
lost
sorry,
lots of weight. What was his number?
the guy lost 100 pounds.
Wow! Holy
Just
cow!
crazy. Yeah, and he came to me. He was back to like 360, I think.
Dang.
It was in the hospital in the clinical setting. He was referred by a
Mm-hmm.
physician,
Yeah.
and but boy, and he lost all of that back. He gained all of that back,
Mm-hmm.
right? So literally he lost 100 pounds in like a year. So he was like doing crazy, and he obviously had a high metabolism.
Mm-hmm.
But then was whatever he was doing was not sustainable, and he didn't have a plan afterwards.
Yeah.
So he gained it all back and then some, which
Yeah.
is sad because it's like he obviously can work very hard, but he didn't have a plan. He also didn't have a long-term proper mentality.
Yeah.
The mentality I would recommend is Number one, uh, the goal is to improve and better and take care of your body, not to punish yourself,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you almost have to, and I know it's kind of cliche nowadays, but you have to like love yourself into health
Mm.
instead of hating yourself into health.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because hating yourself into health will take you so far. It can take you a distance, but
Mm-hmm.
it's almost never going to last,
Yeah.
right? And number two, I would encourage, once again, a cliche topic nowadays, a cliche saying is learn to enjoy the journey,
Yeah.
not so much the destination. Because
Yeah.
if you enjoy the journey, you'll go so much further than the man who enjoys the destination,
Mm-hmm.
even if it takes you a little bit longer to get there.
Yep. I agree. So many people are very impatient when it comes to the fitness, and so many people do not want to see the long term stuff. I have so many clients who people just want to lose the weight right now, but it's just not how it's supposed to be done. Like you need to spend a lot of time if you want to actually keep the weight off. You need to spend a lot of time, and I think a lot of people don't really get the idea of increasing your metabolism as well, because
Oh, for
you can
sure.
be
Yeah,
overweight and you can only be eating like 2,000 calories a day. So if you start
absolutely.
losing weight while you're only eating 2,000 calories a day, by the end of this like cut, you're going to be eating 1,000 calories a day, and that's not sustainable. So you need to spend some time revamping your metabolism and getting your food back into you. And a lot of people don't want to take the like 3 to 6 months, even longer sometimes, to do that, and then they just kind of give up.
Yeah, that's such a honestly, that's such a great topic. We'll definitely do a whole
Mm-hmm.
podcast on like reverse dieting, increasing your metabolism, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, a lot of people are not even aware of that concept,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
right? And you're totally right. I'm not going to add much more beside what you said, but you're totally right. And that's
Mm-hmm.
a stay tuned because we are going to talk at
We
some
will,
point
yeah. I
about how to
think
reverse
I,
metabolism.
I think in the guide we have a limit on
We
how
do talk
low you
about
should be going to in your calories and stuff, because it gets to a point where if you are too low on your calories, you're not going to be able to decrease it by much more. And once you hit your weight goal, if you're eating 500 calories a day, you're just going to gain it all back once you don't have to be so strict anymore. So
right. And
yeah.
then the problem is you get into the hating yourself part because there's
Mm-hmm.
no way you're going to function well at 500 calories a day. You're
Yeah.
just not going to,
Yeah.
like, you might see technically good results.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to get leaner and you're going to look better in the mirror, but you're not going to feel very well at all.
No, it's not healthy.
Absolutely.
The
Yeah.
5% six pack shredded physique is not a healthy thing to work towards.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. How happy were you when you were at your leanest?
Not happy
Exactly.
at all. It was the most miserable time of my entire life. Like it was the hardest. I was eating like 300 calories a day. It was
Oh my
hellish.
goodness.
Two
That's
hours of
awful.
Actually, it was more than 2 hours. It was it was like 6 hours of 6 hours of activity a day, and 300 calories was, yeah, just
Yeah.
terrible. But that was specifically for bodybuilding prep,
Right.
and like so that was
Right.
not long term at all. That was specifically there to be there for the like 3 weeks that I had to be at that point. And yeah, but
Exactly.
it's crazy. It messes you up. Like your brain gets all crazy. Your hormones. You don't have any hormones. I like you get pretty neurotic and antsy and, yeah, irritable. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Testosterone plummets, energy
yeah,
is low. Yeah.
yeah. Bodybuilding is not an overly healthy sport, but I think
It's like most
it's,
sports,
yeah,
like when you get to that level, it's just like, yeah, it's just not healthy for
yeah.
you.
And you don't have to get to that level when you do it.
Oh,
I
yeah.
was just doing everything I possibly could, and I just followed what I was given to a T. And but like my coach at the time was telling me that the other guys on our team, like I was way deeper in the hole than those other guys were. Like they got to a point and they said this is enough, so that he kind of backed off on
Mhm.
them. But he pushed me all the way down to the ground where I could go, right. And but yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it'll
that's
be
cool.
easier next time. That's what I
Right, 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 right,
I'll be bigger, more muscles.
right on.
Yeah. All right. So that I'm getting a little off track though.
You're good. You're good. No, I like that. It's a
Mm-hmm.
good, appropriate banter.
Yeah, I guess just with the last thing I said, the more muscle mass you have, the more calories you're gonna burn. So if you have more muscle mass, it'll be way easier to lose weight, which is also a good reason of why it's a good idea to at least eat around maintenance for a little bit before you start a cut. Unless you're already
Yeah.
eating like 5,000 calories a day, then you're in a spot where you can lose weight pretty easily. But a lot of people aren't like that. So
Exactly. Big individual variants. And we look, I don't want to keep plugging in our program, but I guess this is literally what our program
It's a
is
good
designed for.
program. It's a
We're
good
not going to plug
program.
it in every podcast as much, but the topic lends itself very well. But we do address it. Like in our nutrition section, we talk about three different approaches:
Mhm,
a cut, a reverse diet, and then body recomp maintenance. Right.
mhm,
So, and that's why there's a big individual variance depending on your how high your calories are, and
mhm.
exactly what Eli said. Like if you are eating 3, 4,000 calories a day because you're a bigger person and you maybe have some muscle mass on you already, yeah, you don't need to reverse that. Just do a cut.
Mhm.
But a lot of people would benefit from reverse dieting, at least for a time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Good. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was saying, were you done your what you were talking about? Or did you have anything else to add?
Oh, I have a bunch to add, but let's hear your next topic.
Yeah. All right. Um, so what did we say? We said movement and we said mindset. I guess diet is the most obvious one probably, but
There you go.
diet changes need to start very small if this is your first time ever and you're not used to anything. Do not simply result to switching all your meals to chicken and rice and beef and protein powder. Well, that'll work. It'll certainly work. It'll be probably too drastic for you if you've never done anything like this before. So, especially for complete beginners, for someone who eats very unhealthily, like drinks pop every day, has fast food all the time, take small little steps. Start by if you eat out at like McDonald's, whatever, 5 times a week, which is a lot.
Hmm.
Uh, Reduce it to 4 times a week, and then next week reduce it to 3 times a week. If you have a pop
Well,
every day, if you have a pop 7 days a week, have it 6 days a week. Have it 5 days a week. Have it 4 days a week until you eventually cut out all of these bad habits until they're much more sustainable. It's not in moderation. Moderation. So like, you can still have your McDonald's once a week. You can still have a pop, a couple times a week. That's not a big deal. You can still have them for sure. And once you go from having it 5 times a week down to 1 times a week, there'll be definitely be a drastic difference.
guaranteed.
And you just slowly do things like that. Replace your unhealthy food with healthy food. If you're having, I don't know, whatever junk food for dinner, replace that with a relatively healthy meal that you like potatoes and beef. Even like something like mashed potatoes and vegetables and whatever meat you want is, I don't know, it's gonna be way better than pizza. So
Absolutely.
even if I never really thought about it, but you could take all the fast food you make and just make it at home your own version, and I guarantee that'll already be healthier and way better for you. So
Way less calories,
mm,
way less hyper palatable. So by that virtue alone, you're gonna eat less.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Baby steps are always the best, especially I think this is mostly for very overweight people who I'm kind of talking
Or
for right
just
now.
beginners in
But
general, like you
yeah,
who never.
yeah,
Yeah.
but like especially because usually if the people who are going to be eating all this fast food and pop are going to be very overweight people. If you're really skinny, on the other hand, it's definitely,
Sure.
in my opinion, it's a lot less work on the diet, and it's more just
Yeah.
about learning how to eat more food and getting
Right.
yourself to eat more food, which can be very hard for people. I understand. Uh, but I guess if we put on the flip side, if you're very skinny and you just don't eat very much, you need to start eating a little bit more every day
Yep.
and find ways
Yep.
to get more calories in. Eat
Yep.
more easy to digest carbs like rice, even fruits. Have more
Hmm.
smoothies. Have calorie dense things like peanut butter.
Hmm.
Yeah, just keep adding those things in. Don't use fast food as an excuse to get calories in. It's just not worth it. Maybe once a week if you are absolutely have the craziest metabolism ever. I know my coach had a kid who was like 17 and it got to the point where he was telling him to get Wendy's like 3 or 4 days a week because he guy just had a crazy metabolism, but that's
Sure. Sure.
unlikely that's your scenario, so
Right.
try
Right.
try the healthy way first, obviously.
Absolutely. And there's obviously a big individual variance,
Mm,
but you're totally right. If we're talking about somebody who wants to get started with their health and fitness journey, 9 times out of 10, it's somebody who has some weight to lose,
mm,
not gain,
yeah,
usually.
yeah,
But yeah, totally right.
yeah. I think the biggest thing is just be slow. Take small steps. The
Yeah,
the
no, I
bigger
love
steps
that.
you take, the higher the risk is of disaster and failing completely.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah, I would actually encourage somebody who is just starting their health and fitness journey and they're very excited and motivated and they can do everything all at once.
Mm,
Like force yourself to do less.
yeah.
I know you want to do everything, but you'll take on too much and you won't be able to sustain it. Like
Yep.
force yourself. Like, all right, I'll still have the crappy fast food 2 times a week instead of going 5 days a week.
Hmm.
But I know I can do less.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah,
It's the same
small
with
step.
anything. You don't start a company as the CEO if you're an employee. You don't start at the gym by picking up 500 pounds off the ground on your first try because you'll get
Yeah,
injured, or you'll fail this company that you're the magic CEO of and you have no training or knowledge of it at all, right? So it's the same as anything in
exactly.
life.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, just to add to your nutrition, absolutely make smaller steps. Um, but you want to make smaller steps in the direction
Mm-hmm.
of number people, more protein, in the direction of more whole foods and less processed foods, right? So more fruits, vegetables, more nuts and seeds, um, no, less heavily processed foods,
Yeah.
right? And then into a direction of less hyper palatable foods in general. So it would be kind of less processed foods in general. Once again, small steps. You don't shift your diet, 180, but
Mm-hmm.
you do want to make small steps towards that. More protein, more whole, minimally processed foods.
Yep. I think if you right now replaced all processed food with whole foods, you would immediately
Oh,
have incredible results. Like,
oh
and
yeah,
then
absolutely.
yeah, and you could still eat a fair bit
As
during
much
the
as you
day.
want,
Like,
as much as you would not be hungry. You would just have cravings.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. When people ask me what's one like good diet for them, like keto, Atkins, what should I do? I'm like, just eat whole foods.
yeah, yeah.
Like if you just and eat as much as you want, and it doesn't matter if it's like, the less healthy whole foods
Mm-hmm.
like nuts and seeds, because they have more calories. They're still healthy. But you still the amount you'll be eating calories wise, I almost guarantee will be less than what you're doing right
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
Right. So that's great advice.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Especially just to start. Later on, you can start getting into calories and stuff, but as a beginner, you really don't have to worry much about any of
Right.
that.
And you already mentioned that, but like about drinking your calories, right? Because even though we're saying nutrition, anything you drink counts as that has calories counts as
Mm-hmm.
food. Right? Even if I'm drinking like coffee with milk right now, it's not just a drink. It's counts as food.
Yep.
And I'm not sure where you stand on it, but I'm a big believer in if you're drinking a ton of soda and you aren't healthy and you're overweight, and if you can just switch to diet soda, that's a huge step.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm not a artificial sweeteners fan, but I like if you're obese and drinking pop every day, I think the diet soda would probably be better for you. So yeah.
100%. I actually had a client. I worked with him for like 2 years, I think. Yes, he was. I stopped working with him now because I'm out of the hospital. But great guy, and he lost, I think, like 80 pounds. So
Oh,
he's seeing really
yeah,
good results. Yeah.
yeah.
But literally the first few months, all we because he drank 2 liters of soda every day,
Mm-hmm.
we just switched to diet soda,
Wow.
right? And eventually we switched to more water and coffee and tea and all that stuff that's better for you. But initially, the first two, maybe even 4 or 5 months, we just switched 2 liters of soda to 2 liters of diet soda,
Mm-hmm.
and he lost. He didn't even change anything about his diet or exercise. Just like that,
Yeah,
started dropping pounds.
yeah. That
Right?
makes sense. Same thing for beer and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Beer will
yeah,
very much gain you weight. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Alcohol in general, beer,
yeah.
alcoholic drinks, really empty calories. The way I would view ethanol of any kind, so alcohol of any kind, is like cake.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? Like it's a treat. Enjoy it. It's not a big deal, but don't overdo it. You wouldn't eat a whole cake, and if you would, there's a problem.
I would. I
Yeah,
would.
you would. After the cut, right after the
Yeah,
show.
yeah, yeah. At least the cake gives you actual calories and glycogen that you can use as energy later. Like alcohol just doesn't
Sure,
even. I'm not saying the
sure.
cake is good for you. I'm just like trying to really drive home the fact that alcohol really does nothing good for your
Right,
body.
right, right. Yeah, there's ethanol is a how do they say it's not digested, it's metabolized,
Mm,
right? So you can't even use it for like glycogen stores or
mm,
anything like that.
mm.
Yeah, yeah, totally.
All right.
No, good.
Yeah.
I think that's nutrition covered since we talked
More or
about
less.
mindset, nutrition, and let's talk about exercise,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You already mentioned if you can just do something, just start moving, that's excellent.
Hmm.
However, if you have an hour, 3 days a week, and you have an option to do a specific kind of exercise, you should be doing resistance training,
Hmm.
right? It's a not disputed 100%. If you don't care about what exercise you prefer, and it doesn't matter to you mentally what you do at the gym, um, then do weights, do lift, right? Do machines, do bands, do some kind of resistance training that will stimulate muscle growth. And both Eli and I could talk a lot about resistance training, and we'll probably do a separate show on what does a good programming look like, what are some good principles of resistance training. But bottom line, do something that will help you build muscle. Simple as that.
Yeah, yeah, no, I agree. Just go to the gym, and if you don't want to go to the gym, do some body weight stuff at home. Lift some chairs and jugs of milk.
Yeah.
Literally, any form of resistance training is the best kind of training you can do. So,
The most time efficient and effective for basically for the time you're putting in, right? The benefits you'll get from 3 hours of cardio a week versus benefits of 3 hours of proper resistance training a week are night and day.
still do
The
cardio.
cardio is not bad.
Still do cardio.
Cardio. If you want to do cardio, if you enjoy it, good for your mental health. It's not necessarily bad for you as long as it's done in moderation. But boy, you get so much more out of resistance training.
I think everyone should walk though. I think
Yeah,
walking is probably the number one best thing any human being can do. Honestly,
good for mental health too,
not a
especially if you
big
can go
yeah,
outside. Vitamin D. Yeah,
not a
really
big
good
running
stuff.
fan myself, but walking
Sure,
is great.
sure.
You can get all the
If you think
benefits
about it,
from running, just walking basically, and there's
right,
no injury
right.
risk, and you're not gonna mess up your body. So just
Sure,
walk, just
sure.
walk. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And really good for your mental health.
hmm
Really good way to get sun outside, vitamin D. So there's really no negatives.
Yeah, yeah.
Very sustainable too. Like you don't have to like I could go right now, go outside and go for
hmm
a walk. I don't have to change into workout clothes.
Yeah,
Like I would have to.
yeah. Easy peasy. Even just walking like 10 minutes a day is a great start. That's really like everyone has 10 minutes a day to go on a walk, and if you don't, you have the craziest life on this planet Earth, and you're lying. So.
Absolutely. You're lying. You can find time to walk 10 minutes a day for I guarantee that.
Mhm.
Yeah, combine two tasks, right? If you need to be on your phone to talk to people or call people, walk and call, walk and text, right? So, yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. When I was in prep, another girl was on the same team, I guess, yeah, same team technically as I was. She worked a full-time job and she was doing just as much cardio as me, which was 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours during the day, plus 20,000 steps. And she had a
Wow.
full-time job doing that. That's like 6 hours of cardio. And she was doing that with a full-time job. She was way stronger than I was, that's for sure. Holy cow. I did not have a full-time job. I could not imagine doing that with a full-time job. But, if she can do
Uh,
6 hours of cardio a day and work 8 hours for the rest of the day, you can do 10 minutes.
you can do 10 minutes. Yeah, you absolutely. And if you think you can't do 10, do 5,
Yeah, literally
right?
anything.
Yeah,
That's
and
really
then
what it
increase
boils
from
down
there.
to every time. It's just start with anything at all. Start with 10-minute
Exactly.
walks 3 times a week, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times. Same with resistance training. Try it 1 time a week, and then 2, and then 3, and then find a area between 3 and 5 that you enjoy and stick to it.
Absolutely.
hmm
All right. You have another one for us?
Do I? Oh man, we've talked about diet, mindset, resistance training, and movement. Oh, I mean supplements. I guess we could talk about. Might as well. Don't really
Probably
need
wouldn't
to,
worry about
but
supplements.
yeah,
I mean, unless you want to, because it's like you really don't need it to get started.
no, you
Um,
don't.
but the one big one I'm thinking of.
Mhm.
What do you think?
I don't know. I sleep, recovery, sleep. Maybe.
Sleep.
Yeah, yeah. All right. How could I forget? Yes, sleep is very important. If you have bad sleep, that's another thing that you can switch and see results immediately without changing your diet or lifestyle other than that. If you're only sleeping like 4 or 5 hours a night, you need to change that. You are going to die when you're young if you keep that lifestyle up. Uh,
Absolutely.
so you need to change it and at least start to get 6 hours of sleep. Preferably
Yep.
get 7 to 8. I try not to get under 8 ever, but I know people who operate fine off of 6 to 7. I'm just
Sure.
sleepy if I get less than 8 generally. But yes, try sleep is probably one of the most important things for the human body, if not the most important thing. Definitely work on your sleep. If you have a hard time sleeping, talk to a doctor or specialist of some kind, and also evaluate your lifestyle. If you're extremely stressed all the time and that's why you can't sleep, then you need to find the source of that stress and you need to work on ways to be, I don't know, mindful, I guess, and kind of like meditation before bed and calming yourself down. If you're on screens all day, you need to keep your screens off an hour before you go to bed. If you can't do that, start with even just 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, all just compounding, just like everything we said before.
Yep.
Try taking something like magnesium before you go to bed. I do not
Yep.
recommend melatonin personally. It's
I agree.
overdosed and not very good for you.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah, I don't know what else. Do something that relaxes you before bed. You could read a book
Yep.
if you like. Like I said before, you could do breathing exercises or meditate or whatever. Yeah, just get into a habit of going to bed at a specific time and waking up at the same time every day, or at least a time period. So go to bed between the same 2 to 3 hours, wake up between the same 2 to 3 hours.
Yep.
Yeah, I think
Yep.
that's all pretty
And
good
I'm
advice.
sure we'll do a whole podcast on sleep with supplements and dosages.
Mm-hmm.
But boy, and we both have a lot of sympathy with people who um, can't get a lot of sleep because you have night shift work and you have different crazy schedules and you work 24-hour shifts or 12-hour shifts, or you have kids and you have to work two jobs. Like there are situations where you truly are in a situation where you can't get a lot of sleep. That's not who we're talking about. We're talking about people who are staying the last 2 hours before bed playing video games or doing stupid things or going out to a bar, or just they care about their health, and they're doing all the things already, and they're neglecting their sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, going. I'm just gonna leave it there because I could go about this forever.
Okay.
But if you can get better sleep, utilizing some of those things Eli mentioned already, and you are not going to see as good of results.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
100%.
simple as that. It's very
Simple as
important for
that.
your body. Also, I guess I
Absolutely.
didn't say you could use blackout blinds as well.
Yeah,
That's especially good for someone working shift work, I suppose. If you have to sleep
absolutely.
during the day, I do
Absolutely.
have sympathy for shift workers. I could never ever do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm thinking of one client who I'm not going to mention his name because he doesn't want to,
Mm,
but he used to have really poor sleep, like 4 hours a night, right? And he could get good sleep, but he just had insomnia and like nightmares and things of that nature. And slowly and surely, we just started working on the habits you discussed, right? Cutting out the blue light, engaging in restful activity, and even like resistance training actually oftentimes help you get better sleep because you're
mm,
just exercising and being more tired at night. Better hydration habits, better nutrition habits, all those things compounded to the point where now he's sleeping 7 hours a night consistently.
mm,
And boy, is there a night and day difference. And obviously, his physique and everything has improved tremendously because of all the other things in addition to that. But boy, is his mental health so much better.
mm. Yeah, I had a hard time with insomnia when I was a teenager, so I also can sympathize there.
Right.
I would get in bed and any noise in the house at all would wake me up and I just couldn't sleep. It was awful. But at least even in that situation, try to be in bed for 7 to 8 hours. Even if you don't sleep, even just being
Right.
in bed and resting is better than being up on
Sure.
your computer or doing something other than that.
Right. Right. And yeah, the big thing, and we'll do a whole thing in order one by one, but caffeine is another thing, right?
Yeah,
If you're
that's
doing
true.
caffeine late at night, if you go into bed at 10 and you had caffeine at 8,
Yeah.
probably not a good idea.
Yeah, I have buddies who can have like two monsters at 9 p.m. and then fall asleep at 11. It's ridiculous. I can't even.
Sure.
If I have caffeine after like 3 p.m., I have a hard time sleeping. And
Right.
yeah.
And there are different response levels to caffeine. However, the reason why somebody may be able to drink two monsters at 8 and fall asleep at whatever time is because they built up so much, they got so desensitized to it. It doesn't mean that they're getting good quality sleep,
Yeah, yeah. It'll
right?
still mess up your sleep. And I
Absolutely.
think just having it even like 8 hours before bed, I think is a good thing. Like
8 hours
people
is
say,
great,
like 5 hours is the general consensus, but I'm
right?
pretty sure that only half of it will be out of your body in five
Right.
hours. So
Right. Yeah, caffeine does have a long half-life, and then you have a quarter life, right? So the longer you can separate, the better.
yeah,
Um, yeah, so 8 hours is great. If you can't, like we said earlier, if you're drinking caffeine right before bed, push it 3 hours, push it 4 hours, push it five, six, seven, eight, nine, and then you're in a good spot.
yep, yep,
Yeah.
definitely.
Eli, I think we covered most of it. I mean, one more tip that I can say is bring people in, right? Tell
Hmm.
people what you're doing.
Yeah,
have accountability, right? So, our Discord is a great place for it. Or you can just, right now I'm doing a cut personally, and I brought about 4 people in. I've actually, most of them are Warhammer nerds,
Nice.
and we're just doing it together, right?
Yeah.
We're just staying accountable, encouraging each other with our progress, reaching out if we're struggling. So, yeah, bring people in, people who care about you, people who want to see you succeed. Yeah, so stay accountable.
Yeah. Very good.
Yeah,
I think so too.
awesome. Good. Anything else to add, Eli? I
Oh, I don't know. I think that's pretty good. As
think
far
that's
as
pretty
like
good
we didn't
too.
talk about supplements, I know, and it's because this is beginner. You don't really need to worry about supplements at
Yeah.
all. And if you do really want to worry about it, buy some protein powder and have
Yes.
it for one meal of your day. Have a protein shake every day if you really want. It's never going to be better than red lean meat or even
Sure.
fish or chicken. It's never going to replace that, but it's not bad, and it's not a bad source of protein to have. And
Yeah.
it is
It's not
sometimes cheaper than eating actual meat, which is understandable. So,
right.
yeah.
Right. Yeah, we will. Yeah, we should dive a deep dive into all different kinds of supplements,
Mm-hmm.
including protein powder. I think it'll be an interesting podcast as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, if you're starting with supplements, protein is probably the only thing you really need.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Very good. Shall we wrap up?
I suppose so. I suppose so.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. If you want to support us, go to grimdarkgains.com and start your health and fitness journey there. You can find Eli at Deadlifts for the Dark Gods and myself at fit_hammer on Instagram and YouTube. You can find a link to Grimdark Gains Discord on our Instagram at grimdarkgains or our personal Instagram accounts. Thank you, and until next time, stay Warhammer strong.
Farewell. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. Goodbye.
You guys.